Second Cup is brought to you by Roswell Park Comprehensive Care Center.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. It's 8 o'clock on the start of your Wednesday. Welcome to Second Cup. On what is it's like a weird feeling.
It's so weird. It's so, uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And just like you're reliving a lot of it. It's like touching a bruise or something.
Yeah, like that pain that hurts, but you don't realize it's there until you touch it. You're right. That's a
not
great point.
fresh,
No.
but just kind of lingering.
That's a really good point. A really good way to put it. And it's like you're right, uncomfortable. I feel like I've got all of this like nervous energy and don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, it's the elephant in the room. I woke up thinking about it. I'm in the car trying to listen to music, get ready to come to work, and I'm like, okay, well, it's in the back of my mind. Not just today, but obviously today is it's in the forefront when you're thinking about 514, what it means, and then there's so much love that comes to mind, and love for the community and love that I want to put into the world. But then there's a lot of that hurt feeling and
pain.
Even some of that anger comes up. I'm still mad.
So today marks 3 years since the awful racist attack at Tops on Jefferson Avenue. Peter says, good morning, Ed and Taylor. Loved your reflective pieces that were shown this morning about 514. You show that you're not journalists, but people. And thank you, Peter. What we're talking about here is really serious, but it affects not only people in the community, we're in the community, we're part of the community. I live here, you live here, we live blocks away, really. But, as much as it affected the community, I think that there's just often that other side that we don't share of ourselves because we're so used to compartmentalizing and being reporters before we are people. And
we're doing
I think,
a job, we're at work every day. It's a different job and it comes with the different things and there's so much to love about it, but it comes with the reality of, okay, I know that at any point I could have a really, really bad day and you just never know when it's going to come. And it came on May 14th. So for us, you toe that line where you're like, okay, I'm at my job. I need to be professional. I need to compose myself. But when it's so personal and the hurt is that huge, it's impossible not to feel that as a person. So then you're, trying to reflect on it and, do the job every day. And then when we're talking about it and, we cover it and we talk about it all the time and we're following the trial still. But there are moments where you just want to be a person who experienced that.
So our DJ, everyone knows DJ here on Second Cup. We all love DJ. But DJ's amazing. But what he did was take all of our voices collectively, between you and me and Eileen and Ashley Rowe, who was our former 7 News anchor, and Maki Becker, who was working for the Buffalo News at the time. And he collected all of our stories from that day and put them all in a beautifully well done, well told documentary that you can see for yourself. And we've linked you to it on WKBW.com. And John actually just dropped a link to that story in the comments. Really invite you to check it out because these are stories that have never been told before. It's a side that you definitely have not heard and a side that you really may not understand until you actually listen to it.
I think the only other place, other than my personal life that that we get to let the curtain down is really here for a Second Cup. So you guys know us and you know facts about us and you know who we are behind the, other than behind the desk. So that was the only other moment really that we get to just kind of talk about what it was like for us and what that felt like for us and kind of get emotional and really dig into what that felt like.
Kim says, I'll never forget what happened that day, and it's my husband's birthday. We just reflect on today. And that's a great way to, you don't want to, it's like having a birthday on September 11th. And I kind of compared that when I was talking to DJ and making that comparison. 514 is the black 9/11. And that's what many people are remembering here today. So many people who are affected by hate and just an awful coward who came to town to kill as many black people as he could and did. And, you have to rise above, but you have to understand the root cause of why and what.
And the fact that this food desert, this place where there's only one grocery store for people who live in that community, majority Black community. They all go here. Everyone, spends their time here. And it was a beautiful Saturday, and someone came in and attacked them. And I like the way Eileen put it in our documentary. It was so interesting to hear from her perspective. She remembers covering when the grocery store came. People were begging for a grocery store on Jefferson or on the east side at all. And then it finally came. It was like, oh
2002.
my gosh. People were so grateful for that moment, right? And little did we know that, years after that, and 20 years after that, it would become the site of a massacre.
But what struck me about what she said, because I thought the same thing too, and I'm like, okay, 2002, 20 some odd years later, it would be, well, 2000, it was literally 20 years later, the site of a mass shooting. But what she had pointed out in her statement was that this grocery store there hadn't been a grocery store. They had been asking and asking and asking for a grocery store. It was finally built, and the community was so proud of it. They were so proud to have this place with fresh fruits and vegetables. And, she had mentioned that in the grand opening, there were all these politicians and community leaders and, people rah-rahing. But what it occurred to me after listening to that, and how she said it was so beautiful, was that it stopped there. That was it.
Here's your grocery store.
Right.
Bye.
We're done. Like, that is all the East Side got.
Yep.
And for that to have stopped in the early 2000s, I mean, can you imagine the impact of 20 years of not having anything?
And then the mass shooting happens, you have tragedy, and you have a good, month, I guess, of attention, and all eyes on Buffalo, all eyes on the east side, all eyes on Jefferson. Bills players come down, the president comes down, there is heightened security, there's all this stuff. The grocery store's closed, the grocery store opens back up in August of that year. Still all this attention, so much to talk about. But then, time goes on. We hit the 1 year mark. We hit the 2 year mark. We hit the 3 year mark. And the question is, okay, what's changed? What's different? And you ask people that who live on the side streets right next to the grocery store, Landon and Riley.
The reality is not much.
No, not much has changed.
And for these people, it's a little frustrating. And I think it's a little of a moment where you're like, okay, back to reality. Like, the attention was nice. It helped. But let's get the ball rolling here. Like, what are we waiting for? Listen to what they had to say. Oh, we don't have it. Okay, I take it back. So Kelly says, how do we change it? And that's the best question. I think her Poole was her last name. I can't think of her first name off the top of my head, and I apologize. But she said it's the money. Pump the money in.
It's investment. And
what she said I thought was interesting too. 60% of the people who live on that block on Riley are renters. So it's, out-of-town landlords who own those houses, or landlords who don't live in the community and don't really, that's their only investment in the community, and they're there to get money. And if you're not there, you don't really care about it. So that's part of the problem too, right? Like, that generational wealth is lacking.
So then, a lot of people have taken it upon themselves to try to do more and bring more, like Larry, the owner of Golden Cup at the corner.
Love Mr. Larry.
Right around the corner. He's incredible, and he's opening up a new location. He's expanding. Boom. That'll be a new awesome place, or a renovated place for people to go. They're doing renovations on the Meriwether Library. You can see that if you go down there right now. There is the Exchange at Beverly Gray right around the corner from Second Cup. So you see things. There's Colored Girls Bike too. I'm from Golden Cup, sorry. So there are things, but it's mostly people in the community doing it for themselves. Right. So you want to see investment. You want to see people coming in. You want to see people saying, hey, I'm investing in the East Side.
And what so many people that I spoke to said is that it's on us. No one's coming in to save us. And I think that
stinks to think about. That's painful.
So Howard says it's not even mentioned on GMA this morning. I was surprised, more coverage on their 5K run. So,
I didn't expect it to be.
I didn't either. And that's the whole thing. Like, right? So it was, in my mind, here's what happened. Buffalo happened on May 14th, 2022. 10 days later, Uvalde happened. So the eyes of the nation stopped focusing on Buffalo. And I'm not saying that, it shouldn't. I don't want this to be misinterpreted here, because it's really important that we cover both and understand that both have different causes and purposes.
There's no comparison of tragedies, right? Tragedies are their own separate thing. But ours, is every day.
It was rooted in race. And it was different from Uvalde and different from others in the past. But the focus on what was a race issue that could have helped driven so much progress forward was diluted because of what happened, another school shooting. And just as tragic, just as awful, but two different issues. And when you really understood this one as we have, and we've been in the community, we've been talking, we've been trying to find the solutions, right? Uvalde was children, and they're two different things. It's awful. It is incumbent upon us as journalists and people in the community to help move that conversation forward.
But, at the grocery store, at Tops, that could have been children too.
Right.
There were children in the grocery store, including London. You probably know that name by now, London Thomas. She was 8 at the time. I talked to her right after she got out of the grocery store. We were standing on the sidewalk just doing our coverage. A couple of hours after, here she is. She was 8 at the time of the shooting. She's now 11. She's grown up so much. I can't believe it. I mean, met her 3 years ago, and now, here she is with her mom. That's Julie. Julie, her mom's birthday is tomorrow. And this is always going to be a bittersweet time for them, because as much as she wants to celebrate and, they want to celebrate their lives, they're survivors.
Right.
They're survivors. This was London 2 days after the mass shooting.
She's a baby.
She was hiding in a cooler where they keep the milk in the back of the store with her dad. So it was London, her dad, and her mom. Her dad and her snuck off to get a cake while her mom wasn't looking, so they're separated, and then that's when it happens. London and dad hide in the back. Mom hides in another aisle, not near each other. Shots ringing out, the milk exploding near her, and police get to escort her out once things kind of calm down, and then they're reunited. And London's mom, Julie, says, it was tough. She was emotional because she didn't think she would ever see me again.
Awful.
And then they did get to see each other. And they're together, and they're so much stronger, and there's so much of a different bond. That mother-daughter bond, right? It's unbreakable. But, when you survive something like that with your parents by your side, I mean, that relationship is just so different. And to see, her now get to still be a kid, get to be a 5th grade. She's on TikTok now. She's growing up, and thank God she's growing up, and thank God, she's obviously changed, and she'll always remember hiding in the cooler. But it doesn't change that she smiles every day, and that she has love in her heart, and that she knows right from wrong, and that she's able to go out and lead a wonderful life.
Sarah says that story of her hiding in the cooler is absolutely gutting. Kelly, good morning to you. As a landscaper, I try and pick up as much garbage as I can on the properties that she has down there, making sure the properties look good at all times, right? Like, that's super important.
Yeah, and there were a lot of cleanups and things this week, and a lot of concentration this week and this month. But another thing we heard from people is, we don't want people to be cleaning up Jefferson just on May 14th.
Right.
We don't want people to be stopping by here just around this time of year. Show up on July 14th, show up on January 14th, or show up any day.
Right,
and
just to be there.
Yeah, contribute.
Kim says, I think City Hall, new administration coming on, needs to concentrate on the east side. My mom is here. Good morning, Jan. Shifted focus away from Buffalo, talking about Uvalde. And I guess my point was, in talking about the difference in the coverage, is that the national media was here for a week, maybe at most. The tents were all popped up. David Muir was here, and we love David Muir, but he was in here, gone tomorrow,
On
here
to the
today.
next thing.
Exactly. And as much as the national media, and it's important to have that national attention, that focus on Buffalo, it was like, okay, well, the tents come down, they're all folded up, and they leave, but we're still here. Cindy says their lives will be changed forever. They have to make changes when they're ready. Noreen, shout out to Tops for having this store when no other chain will in the area. I think they are doing as much as they can to honor the lives that have been taken. Absolutely.
And even those employees, the people who worked there that day,
right.
I mean, that's trauma.
I mean, Zaire was working there, and he was shot, but survived.
Right. I mean, oh gosh. I mean, for that entire community, and especially the people who worked there, and for the store to open back up. I remember that being a big debate. Should they open it? Should they not? Should they rebuild it? Should they tear this one down? What are they going to do with it? And obviously the store is now back open and still so important to so many people who live there. But we did some research, and we reported last year, we reached out to all the other major grocery chains like, hey, why not? Why not these side? And either no answer or that just doesn't help our business and blah, blah, blah. And, we're not currently pursuing a store on the east side.
Marguerite, can't believe there's no agreement on a memorial yet. So what we learned late yesterday, Marguerite, is that the city is actually transferring 14 parcels of land to this memorial foundation to build that permanent memorial, that See Us memorial, that it's sweeping, it's beautiful looking. And, it was about a year ago that we finally found out that there was going to be that beautiful big memorial. And in the last year, there really hasn't been much done publicly. It's been a lot of the behind the scenes maneuvering to create the foundation and get a board of directors and get an executive director. And now finally we're hearing that, okay, there's going to be a memorial built, and we now know where. And it's going to be down the block from where this Tops is, right by the Johnny B. Wiley Pavilion on Jefferson and Best. So it's in the community, which I think is super important.
Yeah, right off
and
of
also
the 33.
nearby.
Yeah, right nearby, right off the 33. So a lot of people will drive by it. You want to be able to see it, right? You want people to be able to come there and remember the lives lost. And it's the renderings and what we've seen looks like it's just going to be a statement, right?
Sure.
It's going to be huge. And I'm really looking forward to it. They said groundbreaking could happen next year.
Crystal says the community is left to deal with the aftermath almost alone. I'm grateful for our Western New York community for so many reasons, but it's just plain wrong that anything is taking so long. And, to Slick's point, I think this is the first time we're hearing from you, Slick, and, glad you're with us. Thank you so much for joining Second Cup. Never forget, God bless the families. And really, that's what has to be front and center here is the people, the families who are affected here. Garnell Whitfield,
Gosh.
I mean, how do you, I don't want to, talk about his personal life, but his father died.
He's going to bury his dad today on the 3-year anniversary of his mom's death. That's so heavy.
And she was visiting him
that morning.
Right.
And, you touched on it too in our documentary that we did. When you saw him there that day, he's obviously the former fire commissioner. He's a face that we see all the time. You thought he was there to help control the scene.
Yeah, I remember exactly what he was wearing too. A white t-shirt, gray shorts. And I'm like, oh, hey, Garnell, a familiar face. Like, it was comforting for me, not really knowing what was going on. And, like you said, I thought he was there to control the scene.
He's there as a son, starting the grieving process right there.
Not knowing if his mom was okay or where his mom was, only to find out that she was brutally murdered. Like, what? How? And why? We know why. But why? Wasn't there a major investigation, Crystal wants to know, before they finally announced what they were doing with the money? Are you talking about the memorial, Crystal? Because, I'd done a lot of reporting on that.
There were a lot of questions about, there's so much poured into it. Everyone was like, hey, what do we do? How can we help, right? And so much money was donated, and some of it given to that foundation, some of it given, people who were impacted were looking for some of that money. So it was like, where exactly is all that money, and what is it going toward? There were so many questions on how that was all going to unfold. How much money do they even have?
Right. Well, and that's the problem, is that they haven't had any more money come in since they got the city money, which was a while ago at this point. I think almost a year ago, if not more. And it was $1 million from the city, and that was, I think, from pandemic funding. And so they've got a total of $6 million, $5 million of which comes from the state. So they really don't even have much more money in the years since the announcement of this commission and its formation. They are kind of at the same place that they were last year and, months before that. So the time will tell to see how they raise this money, because there is that, foundation that's now available for you to donate to, and you can do so through the Buffalo Urban League if you're interested.
Yeah.
But you just keep those people in your thoughts. We'll have our live coverage here today at 2:00, and you can be part of what is now going to be a day of service in Buffalo, and we've got a million different ways for you to be part of that.
And there are ways that you can help, right? You can even just watching or taking a moment today, but there's also a link to different ways that you can help, either showing up or donating, or just giving your attention to today, I think would go a long way. So we'll put that link too in the comments for you. And again, that's happening at 2:00 today, that remembrance ceremony.
John actually just dropped a link in the comments too for how you can get involved and how you can honor the victims. Linda says it was so important for the families to actually cry on your shoulder. You were so helpful to them and not just interviewing them. Yeah, I mean, you have to, like, at some point take your reporter hat off and say, I'm a human too. And I feel, and what you'll hear me say, and I don't even remember saying half of this stuff because it was like cathartic to have this conversation.
It was like sitting in a therapy chair, right? It was like just all this pent up, the whole story of like my experience, how I experienced that day, just kind of keep it in. When else are you going to get to tell that, like who wants to hear that? But, you put the camera on and then you just go and I
poured it out.
Yeah.
Like this woman came up to me and she was thanking me the day on that Sunday. And I'm like, why are you thanking me? Like, and then like I kept getting messages, thank you, thank you, thank you. And like, that made me feel so uncomfortable. That made me feel so gross, really. I mean, I felt disgusting getting those messages. Like, because you just, I don't know. Like that, I was doing my job in a sense, but also I felt like I don't know. I just felt gross getting those like compliments and
people are so upset. And I think, when you just go down to the basics of what happened, that 10 people were brutally murdered, shot, and killed in a grocery store. And then the next day people are thanking you, right, for doing your job, something you do every day. Yeah. And I think that dichotomy is weird. There are funerals being planned and our coverage continues, of course. And, to be thanked for that. And we've won awards for our coverage of that. That's also weird.
Right.
That was super weird to me. It's like, okay, it's still a job and we're recognized for the work that we do. But like, it didn't feel like work in the weirdest way. I mean, we all would have shown up.
Right.
It didn't matter about, being paid to do it.
I think it was about community. It was about us.
We would have helped in any way we could, whether that was holding a microphone and, putting it in front of people and interviewing them or in any other way. But what we were able to do and how we were able to help was by doing our jobs. And I'm so glad that we were able to, if only one person felt helped by our coverage or felt that they were informed by our coverage. We were the first ones on TV that day.
Right.
We went after, we did everything we could to help people be informed. And if that helped someone, we did our job.
Right. That's a good point. Crystal says you do your job in a very compassionate manner. It makes a difference. Lisa says I'm from the east side, Kensington and Bailey. There hasn't been anything to help that side of the city, and that's still the east side. Absolutely. Lola, good morning. I've walked in that Tops once since the tragedy, and I was panicking the whole time. Still so sad. Elizabeth says afterwards you feel like you're living and witnessing history, and it's extremely uncomfortable, just like living in New York City on 9/11. And that's brought out in this documentary. I feel like that point specifically, like we are now witnesses to the aftermath. Which is almost just as bad as what happened.
Like, it's sickening. People are giving you kudos. Linda says, Ed, don't feel gross about it. You weren't working on that day. You're helping everyone. You all did an amazing job. We're grateful for what you did for them. Peter, Ed, you might have felt gross and uncomfortable, but the community wanted to thank you, and you became their therapist. You impacted the community.
And I hope so. I hope that we, like, together have an impact. And, I don't want to be remembered as, like, the bulldog reporter who, was this hard, right? Like, I don't want to, I hope those stories have impact.
Yeah.
But I want to be remembered as somebody who really, like, fought for our community.
Yeah. And you do every day. And I think that this puts that on such a more sensitive level.
Yeah.
And it makes it so much more personal. And you said earlier this morning, like, we are different people now than who we were 3 years ago. I mean, for the two of us to be the first ones there reporting it and showing it. I mean, in that moment, it changes you, right? Because you're just like, what's going on? How could this happen?
Right.
And then, the aftermath, and once you find out this was a hate crime, this was racist, there's a video of it, he wanted people to see what he was doing, and then you see him, then we're following it through. But, like, you're not the same Ed that you were when that day started. You know what I mean? Like, that's so huge. I mean, changes your life in so many different ways.
Oh my God, it's night and day. My mom wants to know when's that documentary airing, and I don't know that it actually will.
It's like 45 minutes, and I encourage you to take the time. Like, please take the time. It's well worth the watch. But it's an online, digital only thing, so you can click that link and watch it. You know, maybe you watch it in a couple pieces, you watch the whole thing. But it's not airing on TV. It's a digital, online only.
So Lisa's just weighing back in. I love what they did as a memorial. It's incredible, and I think permanent memorial is a great idea. Yet again, I say, what about Bailey and Kensington? Take your cameras down there and see they don't have anything either. They really don't. So, Lisa, if you're willing to speak with us, we'd love to have your. I think that it's super important to hear your voice. You can send me a text message, give me a call, 716-713-3514. John will put that number here in the super. So please, I mean, if there is an issue, please call me. Please text me. Like, that number is available, for you to reach out and use.
I think, it's a great point, Lisa, that you're making there, because the reason that May 14th was able to happen is because the gunman knew there would be a lot of Black people there, and he had cased it and come up and done his research and figured everything out, had a whole plan. But, when you neglect a community for so long, like what you're saying is happening on Bailey, bad things happen.
Can you put the link in the chat? Kathy wants to know. John, can you maybe just relink to the documentary? Yeah. Julie says that you went directly to the people in the neighborhood and let them speak. That was top notch. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. At that point, again, it's not about us, right? Like, it's the people, it's the voices that come into this, the perspectives that we don't really ever get to hear. Mm-hmm. So watch this. I mean, it was really, really. Beautiful is not the right word. It was impactful.
It was another layer of it. I mean, it's the third year of us doing this coverage. So, it was a different way to talk about it.
And can I point out that I thought this was kind of interesting, and I don't know how you feel about this, but it didn't seem like there was as much activity, as much of a gathering this year early in the morning like there was last year.
I mean, that first year, I remember there's several years we were out there and there's prayer services, people are singing or just out there. I'm sure that this afternoon it'll be packed.
Different, yeah.
There'll be so many people. But in the days after, you could not get your way. You couldn't get a parking spot on Landon, Riley, or Jefferson, anywhere. But this morning, like you mentioned, I was kind of expecting to see activity behind you and people come together. And you did start to see a couple people walk past the memorial and walk towards the store, but it didn't look any different than any other day.
No, and I wondered if people are moving forward. It's not easy to move on. We don't say move on because you don't move on from something like this. You only go forward. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if people have moved past the day.
And we don't want, the last thing we want to do is forget. I mean,
right.
You always say never forget. I like Kathy's comment. What ticks me off over that day was that it took that day to get eyes on the issues going on the east side. I mean, like we said, they've been happening forever, for so long, an area that had been so ignored. And not just, the issues on the east side, but then the race issues. Mm-hmm. We talk about them, but, it was like, oh, that's not really happening anymore.
Well,
race, whatever.
Brush it under the rug.
Yeah. Oh, who wants to talk about that? Oh, race makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to talk about that. I don't see color. I don't, no. But these things are happening. And that attack made that racism talk so real. I hope that people had conversations at their dinner table. That's what we were encouraging.
Right, absolutely.
After it, that conversation, because without those conversations, May 14th happens.
Elizabeth says there were only eyes in that area for the moment. I work in the area, and there is still barely anything there for the community. Mm-hmm. So let's be mindful. Let's be aware of where we shop, what we do, who we are as people. And as we move forward, keep in mind that the more we visit, the more we shop at that store, the more that we shop in the area, the better things will become. we're spending money in that neighborhood, and the money will stay there.
Yep. Go check out Golden Cup Coffee. Go to the grocery store if you're comfortable with it. Go to Zawadi Books. Hang out. Go to the library over there. Or just take a drive by if that helps. Go check out the memorial. Go pay your respects. Anything you can do today or any day to direct.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be today.
Yeah, put positive energy toward the east side, toward Jefferson Avenue, toward that top.
A heavy second cup today, but I think it's good for us to have this conversation, and it's good for us to have an open and honest discussion as a community, because without that, there is a lot of stuff that's below the surface here in Buffalo, and when it bubbles up, we feel it.
We got to dig in. Make sure you give, even if it's the first 5 minutes of our documentary, please.
Oh, yeah, you want to play it?
Yeah, there you go.
5/14 is a date that I will never forget. Like, 5/14 brings back memories of a mass shooting. 5/14 brings back memories of 10 people laying lifeless on the ground, some people in the store, some people hurt. 5/14 brings back the worst memories ever. It hits you in that moment. 10 people are dead. A white supremacist came from outside of Buffalo to kill as many black people as he did, and you are now a witness to the aftermath.
We deal with a lot of horrible stuff. We see a lot of horrible stuff, but this one felt incredibly personal. When I realized this person was out to kill people who look like me. And those people who were under attack are our neighbors, are our elders. People were on their way to and from prayer services, were preparing for Mother's Day, were just living their lives. And a gunman took them down. Being black is one of the things I love most. And being black got my neighbors killed. That's not how it should be. That's not how it should be.
No.
It's heavy. It's heavy, man. Really grateful we got to share that. Really grateful we got to do that. Really hope you give it a chance and give it a watch today. The link is right there. It is something I'm really proud of. And I'm really proud of you. I'm really proud of all of us as a team. And I'm really proud of our community.
Thanks so much for being with us here on Second Cup, and be kind to one another. We'll see you tomorrow.